Okay. Check, check, check. Testing, check. Checking for make sure the sound is okay. Hope everybody's doing good today. Trying to make sure that this music is cool. I'm gonna switch it out. Derby, Derby 501st. How are you? I'm doing good. How about yourself? Derby, Derby. But I'm doing well. Let me get rid of the timer here. Definitely hope everybody's Monday, their weekend, like you all had a good weekend, and hope that everybody, their Monday today so far has been treating them well so far as this week, as we are preparing for the final almost couple of days of November before we walk into December. Um, they'll be glad that you are enjoying the content if that's what you're talking about. Go watch the more service today. Nice, nice. So yeah, hope everybody. Let me remove my camera real quick. Hope everybody enjoyed my little spot here. I found this hilarious that I found on social media before I started the stream. I'm just gonna put this here. People click to watch to basically check out the stream. Um, but yeah, guys, we're gonna talk for about like an hour. It depends on just depends on the comment, the the stream itself, the if we have any engagement on my thoughts on season one so far. Just a few things. There's an article that I want to touch on that I found interesting that came out 2 days ago. It is a great meme, right? There's a few others that I have in that I just grabbed to just before the stream. So I'm gonna be putting them posting them in the community tab over the next few days. I literally just came across these ones, like I said, just roughly 15 minutes ago before I started the stream. So I was like, I'm gonna put this one on here, and then I'm just gonna take these other ones and I'm just gonna put them in the community tab moving forward. But yeah, guys, we're gonna be looking to try to do more live streams here on the channel. While we're patiently waiting, and I'm gonna be doing my best to work on some videos on the side. I'm still gonna be uploading some Andor content, just my initial thoughts on specific things that occurred in season one. Um, that we will look to discuss and get people's thoughts and stuff like that. Because for me, Andor is not over. It's not over with. So um, I'm just gonna switch to one of my favorites that I normally play here on the channel. Give me a moment too. I gotta see if it's loud enough. And get people's thoughts and stuff like that. I just hate that when I'm on my phone and I'm watching, like I'm making sure that the stream is okay. Because that's the only way for me to tell if the stream like is buffering and stuff. Like it takes like 20, 30 seconds for the actual stream on my phone to get caught. I think it is. I think that's fine. I think that's good. I'm just gonna nudge it just a couple. That should be good. I went from 18 to 20. That should be fine. But yeah, this was a random stream that I came up decided to put together earlier today. This morning I was at work and I was like, I feel like streaming today. I feel like discussing Andor and Star Wars in general, because this is going to be, I feel like this subject is going to be the hot topic of Star Wars until the Bad Batch season 2 drops in January. I know I'm patiently waiting for the Ahsoka series to drop because I want to see my favorite non-Force user within the Star Wars universe, which is Grand Admiral Thrawn, to make his live action debut. And I still have a plethora of other ideas and stuff for the channel that I want to do. But like I said, I want to look to do more live streams per the channel itself. and go from there. And as always, my hope is that I am just another Star Wars fan, a channel out here that can you know keep people's attention. Hope I'm not boring anybody with any of my topics, any of my videos, or anything like that. Um, but the channel is growing. Definitely, we just hit 800 subscribers as of this morning when I woke up at 3 a.m. for work, and I'm just like, man, like drawing near to that 1,000. Um, which I've only had this channel for roughly a few months, and I've been a content creator for roughly 5 or 6 years now. I have an anime channel that I mainly did most of my content, streams, reaction, review videos, all of that over there. And if you're an anime fan, go check out Vortex 46. That's the name of the channel. And see if you like any of the content over there. But it's been a couple of weeks just because life has been kicking my butt. So, Star Wars has been like a huge help for me, especially specifically the Andor series and just Star Wars in general. It's just been a huge help. Anime still helps me, but Star Wars is my first love. So, but let's dive into it. If you're watching this video after the stream goes off, I definitely welcome live comments in the chat. But if you're watching this, please leave some comments in the comments below after the stream is over with. I'm gonna roughly go for an hour, but it all depends on if there's any more engagement in the live chat moving forward here. But there was something that I came across, something that specifically that stood out to me that I didn't know about, that was pushed out as far as Marva's character, as far as the season finale, as far as her speech, that I didn't know about. And I just found this information out earlier today that wasn't even going to be a part of the topic, but I decided to put it here anyway. Your channel has been my go-to for unedited. Well, Scruffnator, what is going on? How are you? Hope you're doing well today. As always, guys, the channel is, I'll say this, YouTube is, it can be an interesting place as far as a content creator is concerned. Like, if you didn't know this and you're thinking about being a content creator, just a quick encouragement. Anything that you upload to YouTube can get your channel copyright claimed, your videos copyright claimed, your channel striked. I've received plethora copyright claims on my anime channel. Like I said, I've been mainly over there. I just started this Star Wars channel just only roughly 2-3 months ago. Finally did it. But the one thing about YouTube, your videos are not really fully technically, like most of them aren't, or all of them aren't safe, just because anybody can claim your video, and then you can receive a copyright claim and or strike on your channel. And as always, you don't want 3 strikes or more, and your channel could get shut down. So I'm just taking a gamble. I'm just like, let me put these clips out. Let me put the full scene out. Let me see if it works. And for the most part, 95% of the videos that I push out on the channel have stuck and stayed. But again, that's still a gamble that I'm willing to take, because there's plenty other channels out there on YouTube that have pushed out longer scenes of other films, TV shows, whatever, and those channels are still up. Those channels didn't, as far as I can tell, or as far as I know, those channels didn't get hit with any copyright claims or strikes. I'm just assuming, but but it is what it is. And I'm just like I said, I'm just a lover of Star Wars. So, but like I said, literally 2-3 minutes ago, like, anybody that comes to the channel and checks out the channel, I for one hope that you enjoy the videos that I push out, that I'm keeping your attention, that I'm not boring you, and that we can just enjoy each other's YouTube, social media, whatever you want to call it, company, while we're having conversations. I read many of the comments on my videos. They're still flooding in from 4 weeks ago on various videos that I pushed out. So yeah. But this one thing that I did not know about Fiona Shaw, aka Marva, Andor in the finale for episode 12 in her speech to Ferrex. This was pushed out on a Reddit site 4 months ago. A Redditor pushed out saying that Marva's lines, one specific line was changed. What specific line was that? That was "Fight the Empire." And it's interesting that because this is a hot topic right now, just because people are finding out about this information now over the past, I want to say over the past 48 hours, 72 hours. I'm just finding this out today, and this was being pushed out yesterday. But they decided to change Fiona Shaw's line, "Fight the Empire." She was actually supposed to cuss. She wasn't supposed to say "Fight the Empire." She's supposed to say "F the Empire." And Disney decided to, like, I guess they had pre-recorded that scene, sent it out to whomever, the execs or whatever, to sit down and watch that scene or whatever. And when they saw it, they were probably sitting there saying, like, "We like it, but we are going to have them redo that scene and change that to something else." And then, of course, that's what we get, is that specific thing. I'm probably going to do a video on it because a lot of people probably are going to miss the stream, probably not even watch it. But it's just that they decided to change it from "F the Empire" to "Fight the Empire." She was actually supposed to say the FUCK line, "the Empire," and that was supposed to be the trigger for the for I can't remember the actor's name, but I'm going to do a video on him too. He's definitely one of the most hated characters in Andor right now, and in all of Star Wars, because of what he did to B2 when pushing B2 over. And then, of course, that's when we get Brazo coming over to give him the boot in his gut, and then using Marva, the ashes of Marva, to clog the head over of the one Imperial guy when he came up to attack him. So, Will, what's going on, dude? How are you? Hope you're doing well. It's my homie Will, it's like one of my best friends here where I live at. And he's my homie. He's my homie for life. Like Mike Lowry and Marcus Barnett would say, "We ride together, we die together. Bad boys for life." That's my homie, Will Thomas. Will says, I like it that way it came out in its finality. Yeah, that's the thing. There is a specific engagement that I've seen on these couple of YouTube channels that talked about this. Comments were saying there were, I would say, for the most part, the higher percentage of people saying that they love that they initially have it where it's at, where Marva says "Fight the Empire" versus Marva cussing. I mean, but there are people out there that are saying, like, "Oh, I wish they would have put that in there," because there are a lot of people out there that they get adrenaline from cussing themselves and hearing other people cuss. It's just what they're used to. And if they just feel like if Marva had said that, that would have been like so dope to them. Now, there have been cuss words used in recent. Disney has allowed that to occur. And a lot of fans, because like that's the thing, a lot of fans want like that more grittier, real violent, all blood, all of that stuff. Fans want like the realism of stuff, like when it's pertaining to a comic book, a book, whatever. They actually want to see it visually. They want to feel that. They want to experience that. And they don't, a lot of fans don't like that. The companies, these companies are nerfing characters, sugarcoating stuff, whatever the case. Because a lot of fans want to see specific characters, whether it's in Star Wars or Marvel or DC. They want to see these characters just like full on, just go out there and just rage at the world. And they want to see destruction and violence. And like my homie, can't remember the actor's name, but he played Alfred on Christopher Nolan's Batman. One of my favorite quotes of all time is, "Some people just want to watch the world burn." And there are people out there that like that. They want to see that in live action form, animated form. They want to see that. They want to see it all. They love that. So for Marva's scene in episode 12, there are fans out there that were saying that they would have loved to actually have them keep that. They're really perturbed and upset and taken aback by that. But most, from what I've seen so far, most of the fans are saying that it's just better. It's how she voiced it. She said it in such a way when she said "fight the empire." And I personally, guys, I wanted to use the part where the hollow I'm losing my train of thought. But the part where it, like, this part of her face was just like, you could see only like the rest of her face, you couldn't see the whole thing, and she turned to the camera and say "fight the empire." I was going to use that as my thumbnail for that specific video, but I ended up changing it. So yeah, that's just something interesting that I thought about when or not when I thought about what I came across today, and I was just like, like, literally, I just came across that Marva stuff like an hour ago, just before the stream. So I was like, oh, I didn't know that this was going on. We'll talk about this. But this article, talking about season 1, it's from the direct. Came out 2 days ago. I didn't know that this was a thing, but I just came across this article today. It was earlier today while I was at work, and I was like, I want to read it, and I skimmed through some of it, but we'll probably read most of it, if not all of it, today. I don't mind the cussing, but I prefer if basic used its own set of words for cussing. Yeah, why not? I don't mind it if basic did that either. Which is, I'm wondering, like, when Thrawn appears, if we get like say we have the Ascendancy books, the Thrawn Ascendancy books, like, say we get Striver for Success. Hello, how are you? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well today. Say we were to get a Thrawn Ascendancy live action trilogy movie or a series or animated series, like, I would wonder how they would go about doing the basic stuff, language. But the Andor season 1, this article from the direct, like I said, came out 2 days ago. Authored by Savannah Sanders. I think I read something from her before, but it was just interesting reading this article, and I was just like, this is an interesting take, right? Because per the title, she says that Andor season 1 proves the biggest problem with Disney's Star Wars. That's the title of the article, right? I'm actually going to pull the article up. I'm going to remove myself from the camera and pull it up here. And again, this is what, she wrote, what she talked about here. We're probably going to read most of it, if not all of it. But I just found it interesting because, again, we know, like, I'm coming back on camera, like, we know that per specific data and ratings and stuff that have come out over the past few years, few weeks, per the show, when tallying the ratings for Kenobi, Book of Boba Fett, it was something else, and of course Andor, that Andor is in the top 20. I think if I remember correctly, it was sitting at 19 as far as shows being viewed. What they're basically saying is that Andor is one of the lower watched shows out of the other shows out there. And I sit here and I see the engagement on social media every day. And again, social media is showing me something different than what these analytics are showing me, because again, I'm coming from the fan side of things versus like the critics plus the fans and whatever else that their metrics that they're using to to critique the show, because Andor is more of a drama. Said the new Mario trailer, nice. Andor is more of a drama, and there's like hardly any action. But when the action does happen, I've felt like the action was fully welcomed with open arms. It wasn't like I was sitting back like I wasn't one of the fans of the show. Like, man, like I wish that this would have been there would have been more action throughout the rest of the show. The show's been heavy dialogue, and per the title of the stream, does Star Wars need more pew pew? Does it need more lightsabers? Does it need more space battles? Because it has the name Star Wars attached to it. And I've gone on record. There have books here at home that has Star Wars title on it, and there's more dialogue, more character development, and hardly any action, because those books were centered around these specific characters, the where they were and how they grew within the plot of that story. And when the action did happen, it literally just like leveled out, right? And I'm just like yes, there are way more stories in books and comics and stuff like that where Star Wars is about lightsabers and space battles and stuff. And I've gone on record and saying like that's what drew me in. That's what got me to watch Star Wars as a whole way back when I was a kid, and seeing the Jedi, seeing the Sith, seeing Emperor Palpatine, seeing Vader, seeing Luke, all of that stuff. And of course, we get the prequels, and then we get those three. It's just the Skywalker saga as a whole. Before we eventually would get the sequels, which again I didn't personally like the sequels, but I'm not one of those fans who just like raging over the three films. I just personally didn't like them. There were specific spots in the sequels that were okay, but overall the sequels just weren't what I was hoping them to be. And Star Wars, again, I personally feel like it's not just about lightsabers and space battles. It is about these other stories that don't have Jedi in them, don't have Sith in them, may have the Empire in it, but it's just about these characters that are the everyday folks that become heroes of that story. And they may show up in another story down the road per some Jedi or Sith or whatever the case may be. Because a lot of these stories interconnect, they intertwine and stuff like that. So when I sit there and I read an article that I come across today, move myself from the camera, and they're saying that it's, there's a big problem within within Disney Star Wars itself. I just personally feel like, these shows, the movies, you can even say the books, you can say the comic book stuff. It's all subjective, guys. Like honestly, I got another reply on one of my videos. It's all subjective. And per this article, reading it, and we'll read it here. Savannah Saunders says this from 2 days ago, November 26, 2022. So season 1 of Andor has proven Disney's Star Wars issues on Disney Plus, and here's how. In the decade following Disney's acquisition of Lucasfilm, audiences have never seen a Star Wars project like Andor. And this is very true, because we can say that Star Wars Andor is different from the regular uh, past Star Wars movies of the 9 films, because there's, again, it's a drama based show. She goes on to say, both a spinoff and a prequel to Rogue One, Star Wars story. Diego Luna reprises his role as Cassian Andor in this rebellion origin story. But even though Luna's Andor is key to the series, he's far from its only star. In reality, Andor is is an ensemble piece featuring Stellan Skarsgård, Denise Goff, Kyle Soller, Genevieve O'Reilly, Andy Serkis, and more. But in addition to its stellar cast, Andor has blown away audiences with its powerful themes, mature tones, and masterful interwoven storytelling. And I always crack up when, and I feel like I do it too, because it's just like you're kind of getting out the way the positive formalities of your conversation, right? When you're discussing something like this with people, whether it's Star Wars or something or anything, any type of, when you're giving your opinion on a topic, you're trying to be positive, but you want to at least get the positivity out the way before you really fully dive into how you really feel about the subject, because your opinion is still centered around some emotional, and it still has an emotional response and feeling to how you want to express yourself when conversing with people on a subject. And again, I crack up at this because we all do it as human beings. I know that I still do this. And per Savannah Saunders' article here, she basically did that. And then that's when she moves into saying, however, while Lucasfilm's latest series has definitely been a breath of fresh air, it's also managed to prove the biggest problem with Disney-owned Star Wars. And then this is when she goes into like the acquisition back in 2012, which says, ever since Lucasfilm was acquired in 2012, Star Wars under the Disney banner has existed in two eras: the theatrical era and the streaming era. And that's true because Disney Plus is here now. We've had a lot of movies over the these past several years, and now we're going into the streaming era, not just with Star Wars, but just with other specific key like Marvel, like DC and stuff like that. So there definitely is a shift. Will this shift stick and stay? That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother stream. Just because evolution itself within entertainment is constantly flowing in a specific direction. It's either gonna benefit fans or it's not, and these companies are gonna try something else eventually. So she goes on to say, from 2015 through 2019, Lucasfilm churned out 5 Star Wars films, including the sequel trilogy and final chapter of which is the final chapter of Skywalker Saga, Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and then of course Solo, a Star Wars story, which I personally enjoyed the movie. I didn't think that it was like a blown away type of thing, but I could sit down and rewatch the movie, to be honest. And plus with how the ending happened with Maul popping up at the end, I kind of was hoping that we would have gained more of his character coming back and moving forward, but that can still happen, but who knows. But then weeks before Lucasfilm's last Star Wars film, The Rise of Skywalker debut, Disney Plus launched in conjunction with the first ever live action Star Wars series, The Mandalorian, which is another show that it has the Force in it. It has Jedi in it, but it's not a prevalent thing. It's not something that's stuck in state. It was just something that they just decided to add in there. And the Mandalorian, besides Grogu at least, but the Mandalorian, Mando with Grogu as his trusted sidekick were just it's just something that has really worked, um, and has captured fans' hearts that were fans of Star Wars way back when, where they probably felt like there was a dry spell, like a huge dry spell, and they were just upset with what was pushed out, whether it was the prequels or the sequels, or a combination of both. And they gained a new, a newfound joy, or rekindled uh, fire within their heart to say, I can get back into Star Wars again. And now, because Mandos are here, then they push out they bring Boba back, and that was uh, another show that was just okay. They had its moments, but a lot of fans don't, they don't like how Boba was portrayed, which includes Timothy Morrison. He's gone on record as saying, like, this isn't how Boba was portrayed. So maybe they will look to work and retweak the Boba character to portray the Boba that we more than likely known and loved over the years. Maybe that'll happen. But she then goes on to say the success of Mando and Grogu launched Disney's Star Wars streaming era, in addition to the final season of Star Wars Clone Wars animated series, which that season 7 was just dope, especially those last like 4 or 5 episodes, just like beautiful, right? Almost practically perfect. Lucasfilms premiered season 2 of The Mandalorian, Star Wars The Bad Batch, which has been fairly successful for sure. Book of Boba Fett, like I said, and then of course Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and then we get Andor. And excuse me, with Kenobi, I was hyped for it, and then once it got here, we got those 6 episodes. The show was good, but it wasn't like great. It just, you were waiting for, you wanted specific things to happen, and it just didn't go in the specific direction. Of course, we have, which I don't like, fans attacking actors, actresses, stuff like that, mailing them, threats and stuff like that. I don't like that. That's, it's not the actor or actress's fault. It's not the staff. It's the writing team's fault. Blame the writing team for the character being portrayed the way that they were portrayed. Like, but don't even attack those people. Just be kind to folks, while still, expressing your dislike for how a character was portrayed, and then just move on. But I don't know. People will be people. Meanwhile, the Star Wars theatrical slate remained blank. Yes, of course, after the 3 sequel movies, nothing else has been coming around. Now we have these Disney Plus series, and it seems like that's gonna be the route moving forward, right? But that's not to say the studio didn't try. As Lucasfilm had done before the Star Wars streaming era began, the franchise continued its trend of announcing directors to helm the franchise's next big screen film, none of which to date have come to fruition. And that is true, because I think there's like 2 directors out there that are slated to do their own Star Wars movie and or roughly 3 films type of stuff. But we more than likely, as far as a trilogy movie is concerned, movies are concerned, we're probably not going to get anything until like 2025, 2026, as far as a movie is concerned. So excuse me, so there's that. But like she says here, I do like this quote that she says, perhaps Master Yoda's words of do or do not, there is no try, has never been more applicable. But as for the streaming side of the galaxy far, far away, fans were noticing trends there too. It seemed that instead of trilogies or even projects, Star Wars was leaning into personal character-driven tales stretched into a serial and peppered with Easter eggs and cameos. But this new focus didn't just apply to Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, interconnected Mandoverse, but also projects featuring Star Wars headlines like Obi-Wan Kenobi. In fact, The Direct reported that Obi-Wan Kenobi was intended to do its own trilogy before it was retooled into a show at Disney. That is true. And then she talks about the season 3 Mandalorian and the Ahsoka, because like I said, beginning of the stream, like, I'm patiently waiting, guys. I'm patiently waiting for the Ahsoka series to get here because I can't wait. Because that is true from some reports that were pushed out as far as the Kenobi series, that it was originally supposed to be like a movie or some movies and stuff like that, and then they eventually dropped it down um, to the 6 episodes, and then we got that one Star Wars fan that actually, I can't remember his name, but he edited the 6 episodes. He took out some stuff that really didn't have any true real effect on the story as a whole, as the show as a whole, and he pushed out that stuff on social media that and originally got taken down, but it was like literally just over 2 hours. Like I want to say just a 2 hour and roughly 2 to 4 minute thing, and I watched it and it was just like really dope. But I watched the video from the next sites and stuff like that he was able to get it out there, because on social media eventually Disney or Lucasfilm or in between the two ended up taking it down before he had to find a different route to get it out to fans so they can check it out. And it was indeed, it was, like I said, it was like 2 hours and 2 minutes, 2 hours and 4 minutes of just beauty to me, and it just connected better as a movie versus a film when it's pertaining to the Kenobi show. So that's why I'm just like, that would have worked probably a little bit better than what we got with the 6 episode series of Kenobi. And that's why I'm saying, like with the Ahsoka show next year, when we got the Bad Batches coming out in January, I believe January 4th, if I remember correctly. Fans are anticipating that. Can't wait for that. We have the Ahsoka series. We have Mando season 3 coming out. We have Skeleton Crew coming out. We have the Acolyte coming out. We have these specific things, and then also Star Wars Vision season 2. We have this stuff coming out. But then what's gonna happen moving forward? And the question too is, will we get stuff like Andor, where these stories, these characters, this more of a drama-based feel of a show, will we get more of that moving forward? Will we get some more stories like that? Will we be able to sit back and watch I'm gonna come off screen. So I need to, there we go. Image. Will we get Skarsgård coming into the fold and the expressions on his face? Are we actually able to sit here and read the facial expressions to try to understand what a character like Luthen Raw is thinking and feeling in the moments of, say, a Marva Andor speech? Because I feel like we could get a book on Andor. We can get to the scene in this moment. And I personally feel like we would actually be able to get some actual true understanding of what Luthen is thinking in this moment. Will we get stuff like this moving forward? Because again, I always say, guys, I am a Star Wars fan. I am a Jedi and Sith fan, a Force fan. And I love that a lot. I keep going back to it. I'm a Darth Bane fan. But I am also somebody who loves heavy dialogue-based shows, like a Game of Thrones, House of Dragon. And Andor is a dramatic, heavy show with only roughly 5 to 10% action. Because as long as a show can keep my attention, whether there's heavy action in it, heavy comedy, heavy drama, whichever, as long as the show can keep my attention, I will gladly come back each week to watch the show. I will do that, but that's just me personally. People's attention spans are only going to go but so far. You know, it all depends on the person. And I'm just wondering, will we get, these specific scenes? Will we get more of like characters like Surreal, where he's just truly like, which the video I pushed out today, where he's like engulfed in being near Dedra because he's obsessed with her. And some fans would probably say like he's more obsessed with like the like her stature, how she carries herself, and that's what he's drawn to, because he tells her back of the ISB like, I believe that you want what I want. And but to me it's just like, I just feel like it's just coming off like real stalkerish, because she even asked him, are you stalking me? And he's like, I've been coming around every few days, whatever he was saying, and I've been looking to see if I can find you. So it's like, dude, you're stalking her. Just call the office, have a conversation with somebody, get her on the line. That way you can talk to her, but don't just like go to her job almost every day, trying to find her. But when we get characters like this, where the show can still capture an audience, they're to keep them sitting there, because there are fans out there that say that they fell asleep, and that's understandable, because they need, there are people that need instant gratification. They truly need that, and I understand that, because there are shows out there that can indeed, capture your attention within the first 5 minutes of sitting down and watching a show. Even though, again, this technically is Star Wars right here, per the Death Star. It's about that too. It's about the Empire. But, is the question continues to be asked, do we need the Emperor? Do we need Vader? Do we need the Force? And I feel like I want to say, yes, we need them in a sense, but not like always, because again, there are stories out there like Andor and like many other books out there that are just heavily dialogue, dramatic based, and there's hardly any action, and it just shows us fans that there's more to, there's stuff outside of the Force, stuff outside of the Empire, characters and stuff, stories and stuff that can keep your attention. And the action will be there, and it hopefully will keep your attention. Lightsabers in the Force and Jedi and Sith battles will be there. Hopefully it keeps your attention. People just, there are many fans like myself that just want to experience everything within a universe, and then see if I can say to myself like, okay, I tasted and saw what the entirety of Star Wars is, both within surrounded by the Sith and the Jedi and the Force, and surrounded by the Empire, and surrounded by some heavy dialogue. And now I can sit back and say which is more prevalent for myself, and then I can be like, all right, I like this more, and I don't like this that much, so I'm gonna gravitate over here. Because I keep saying, guys, that at least for my final comments, because nobody else has come into the comments here, but that Star Wars, the universe itself, isn't for everybody, but every fan can find something within the universe to gravitate towards, and literally just stay there. Maybe try some other stuff in another corner section of the universe, of the galaxy itself, and like and love that, or dislike, or hate, or whatever, and you just move on. But there are purists out there who want to experience a whole bunch of action, a whole bunch of lightsaber duels, space battles, and that's totally fine. They're allowed to want that. But there are just fans out there like myself that want to experience everything within Star Wars, and hope that I like it. If I at least like it, then I, at least for myself, I may give it another go to do a rewatch. Maybe just a second time, and then just put it down after that. And then if something pops up, there's a connection to it, then I can go back and be like, okay, I can see why they decided to put it in this show, in this moment, in this episode. And okay, now this connects to this movie or show, whatever streaming service, streaming show over here, and that that will piece more, and then I can just watch that over there. So we get stuff like the Empire, we get the reasons why they built the Death Star and stuff like that. We get all of that eventually. It's just that we had to, the story had to grow, and a lot of fans of Star Wars just couldn't patiently wait to get to Episode 12 to see the post-credit scene, to then be like, okay, that's why they did it. That's why we kept seeing them in the prison stuff. They needed more action because they just couldn't. They're just not used to it, and fans are allowed to say that they're not used to a show or a movie have a lack of hardly any action and a lot of dialogue. And what what this Savannah Saunders lady is saying has a little bit of truth from my perspective. I just don't think that it's a bad thing for Star Wars. But I would love for more shows and more films to be to have the Andor feel to it, to have the dramatic feel to it, so that when the action comes, when it arrives, it's it's glorious, it's beautiful, it's divine, it's practically perfect. And then we get these scenes of the revolts and stuff, and then we get too excited about it. There are fans that still talk about this stuff, that still talk about the Brasso character and what he did here. I actually have a meme that I'm gonna push out here in a few days. That I think you all will enjoy on the community tab. So I just personally feel like Star Wars is indeed about the Jedi, the Sith, the Force, the the action, the space battles and stuff, but it's just not about that. It is about shows like Andor. 90 to 95% drama, 5% to 10% action. There just are stories out there that are like this, and I feel like if people gave it a chance, at least if they watched it, most of it, then maybe just possibly they'll gain something for themselves as far as their own opinion, and be able to say like it was enjoyable. Hopefully people wouldn't fall asleep at stuff like this because they're so used to instant gratification. I feel like there should be a balance. Rebel Dom SF, what's going on? How are you? Hope you're doing well today. It was a phenomenal finale. It was. It really, really was. So again, guys, that my hope is that we will get more Andor-like base shows. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to take over. I feel like it doesn't have to be a takeover when it's pertaining to dramatic, heavy dialogue stuff. But I just feel like that it should definitely be something that gets pushed out there, more of it. Because again, if we get shows like Ahsoka, The Acolyte, where I feel like there's gonna be a lot of action in it, way more than what Andor has, that I feel like people would still want to experience something like Andor. Because I just feel like there should be a balance. You have your action, you have some comedy too, and you would need some heavy dialogue and character development from characters so that they can, so that these plots, these stories, these characters really grow on you, so that when they're getting written off on the show, whether it's one season or 4 seasons or whatever, like the attachment that you have with these characters, or the emotions that you really feel, are indeed real, because you're just like, man, like, the homie's gone, or she's gone, or the elderly person, whatever. Like, you're really just like, man, like, that hurt. I'm gonna remember this scene in this show or this movie for the rest of my life, because it has such of an impact on you. Because like I've said in the past, like we do run to Star Wars, or whatever fictional world, Marvel, DC, books, comic books. We do run towards these things to give us a break from reality. I know I have personally myself, is because of some personal stuff going on here at home. But have to say, man, Andor is top notch quality, including pacing, writing, action, dialogue. Andor is my favorite Star Wars that Disney created. Also Rogue One, and you have every right to feel that, to think that, to express that. You have every right, and I support you. Rebel, I support you in that, because you are allowed to feel that, to think that. Like who am I to look down on another Star Wars fan for not liking Andor, for calling it boring, for what I mean, like to call people stupid and dumb or whatever. That's to me, that's not to me, like, that's just not very human like, because people's opinions should be validated, whether positive or negative, because we're just here talking about a fictional world that technically doesn't have any real effect on reality. It's just something that we gravitate towards to get away from the noise of the outside world of reality. We're just going to go in this little pocket here, this hole, this corner, just focus on Star Wars, talk about Star Wars, read Star Wars, watch Star Wars, take our mind off for a couple of hours or however long, and then do a live stream, talk about it, and then just move on. So, that's just something that I feel like we as a fandom can do. I feel like it's possible. But, not everybody's going to think and feel how I feel. I feel like many fans would still disagree with me on my opinion on how I personally feel like fans of Star Wars should react and respond to each other when they're conversing, because we should be able to have a civil conversation about whether Andor is good or bad for the fandom, for the unit, for the galaxy. And you said, I totally agree with you. What are your expectations for Andor season 2? So we will do a stream on the expectations of season 2. I don't want to dive too much into it, but I just will say, like, even per the last stream that I had, where we were reading a specific article that Tony Gilroy was saying, like, the season 2 is going to be, the tone is going to be different. I personally feel like there's going to probably be more, like, the percentage of action is going to be up. It's going to go higher because they're cramming 4 years into 12 episodes. And because they're doing that, from what I'm also hearing, is that every 3 episodes is going to be a year has gone by. So once we see these shifts in time, we will definitely notice the change and the shift in the tone. And maybe we'll still, maybe again, I know I put that's it's just a meme, but you know, I put it out on the community tab talking about Kino Loy per the when they took the ending of Return of the Jedi, put Cash in as Luke, and then had Marva, Kino, and Namek in there as Force Ghosts, per different timeline, different universe. But I feel like Kino Loy is probably still alive. He's just still back at the prison, chilling, and they just that my mindset is they didn't take him out, they didn't kill him off, they didn't write him off in the show. He just is still at the prison. He just his sentence just got pushed uh, back. He had 200 some odd days. Now he has maybe 400 to 600 to 800 days now, because he helped in helping prisoners escape. So that could be what the tone of what Gilroy is talking about. Excuse me for doing that too. I apologize. Excuse me. But yeah, that could be the tone that Gilroy is talking about with the shift. That it could be darker than what it was. There were definitely some dark moments in this first season, specifically what Dedra did. Cashin did some things too. But I'm also going to be talking. I'm probably going to do a video on it too. But I'm probably going to do it talking on another stream. But I'm going to just put a footnote here with Cashin. The show we know is about Cashin, but the show itself, there were so many other stories that were going on. I think I did bring this up in last week's stream or the stream prior, and I was saying it was sort of like how with Surreal's character. Like I felt like Surreal and Cashin, they were pushed to the wayside because the focal point became about the ISB, which I love a lot, and I'm still hopeful that we get a ISB series, Disney Plus series. I really would love that. I would love Dedra to be more prevalent in that. Partagas as well. I was supposed to do a video on Legret because I felt like once Partagas took his assignment off of him and gave it to somebody else, which was probably Blevin, that whenever the camera panned to Legret, that his facial expressions and what I felt like he was thinking, he just felt like he became like how when Blevin got Morlana 1 taken off him and given to Dedra, like Legret's reaction was what Blevin's reaction was. Became real. He became small in stature and in his mental. But at the same time, I feel like too that Legret still kept his composure and still went to work and did his job to get back in the good graces of Partagas moving forward in the show. Hope we see ISB agents just like we see in Rebels in Battlefront 2. Indeed, I definitely do too. Like I said, I really would love roughly 8 to 10 episode ISB series, roughly 2 to 4. If we can get maybe 2 in between 2 to 4, maybe 2 or 3 seasons worth of ISB series, that would be great. So I'm hopeful that will be the case. That they'll call Denise up and be like, hey, we want to feature you in this series. It's gonna be the ISB. Bring your boy back to reprise the world as Partagas and just move forward. We'll see what happens, but that's my hope. So yeah, that's why I've been just really just saying, guys, like I've seen comments. I read a lot of comments every single day, whether it's from 4 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, this week. I just have to get time to really sit down and respond. I'm gonna be responding to a lot of these comments on the videos over the past month, because I don't want those specific people who did leave comments on my videos to feel like I just let them hang out to dry. I didn't. I read a lot of their comments, and I like what they were thinking and feeling in those moments when they were putting their comments in my videos. Because again, like I keep saying, like those opinions matter. Like even the ones that are negative, where people were saying like the show is boring, it didn't do this for me, didn't do that for me. blah blah blah. Like I still want to engage with those folks because I want to, have my response. I want to see what they're gonna respond with, um, and just have a healthy, uh, have a healthy conversation. Be able to converse with these people, um, in hopes that we can maybe possibly come to an agreement that maybe the show needs to do a little bit better, or maybe they just didn't see it in a specific way, or I didn't see it in this specific way, and we're just like, what, it's cool. Like you just couldn't get into it, or you like it or love it that much. It just didn't click for me. Um, you know, if we could do that, I'll be great. I just don't, as always, I don't want to attack somebody for having their own thoughts, even if it's a negative opinion, to sit there and be like looking down on them or calling them names and stuff like that. Like, I just feel like there's no point. Like, to be honest, like there's really no point in calling somebody, a name that's not what their parent and or guardian or whomever gave them the name, because they're human. They just have a different opinion of me, whether it's Andor or just within the Star Wars world in general. It's okay because it's allowed. So with Andor, with the comments that I've seen on my videos, even with the finale, and this data of Andor being one of the lowest shows viewed, even though there are many of us who feel like it's like there are many people out there that feel like Andor is the greatest Star Wars thing ever. That indeed is. People are allowed to view Andor like that. Like, I may not agree with it, because for me, Return of the Jedi is the greatest out of all of the films. But that's just me. And a lot of people may feel that Empire Strikes Back is the greatest out of all the films, and that's them. And I can understand, their viewpoint on it. And I'm not gonna be like, no, you're wrong. Like, Return of the Jedi is better. It's the greatest, and blah blah blah. Like no, like they're allowed to do that. And like I said, people are allowed to say that Andor is the greatest Star Wars show ever, and people are allowed to say that Andor is the boringest show ever. Like, people are allowed to have that response. Will season 2, per the tone that Tony Gilroy is talking about, will the shift, will if the fans that thought that season 1 was boring, they really sat down and watched all 12 episodes, or eventually did over the next couple of months or whatever, they asked me, all right, I'll watch they watched, let's say they watched the first 6, and they were just like, well, why did it take 6 episodes for all this action to come in and do the show justice or whatever? And then they finally decided to sit down and say, I'm gonna watch the next 6, and they actually watched the rest, which is the rest of the show. Let's say they decide to come back when 2024 comes around, when a lot of us are believing that Andor season 2 is going to drop. Will they possibly give those roughly 5 to 6 episodes of season 2 where the tone changes and there's more action? Will that possibly cause those fans to say, all right, the show isn't that bad anymore? But the response is probably like, I just wish this stuff would have happened in season 1. I'm just curious and wondering what people's responses will be who did say that Andor was boring, and they do decide to sit down and watch season 2, or a portion of it at least, or half of it. What would their mindset be? You said, do you think Andor season 2 will be filmed on location just like they did Andor season 1? No, I just came across some stuff. I'm gonna probably share it in the community tab. I'm not sure. We do know that a lot of times they stay in one location, or they decide to shift into another location. Which I sometimes find interesting because I feel like sometimes I feel like, well, if something works best in one location, why move it? But per the vision of the director and his team or her team or whatever the case, if they feel like they need bigger spaces and stuff like that because one section of the world in this location is smaller because they needed that smaller space, but now because they get this second season, they're like, okay, we need bigger, wider spaces and this, that, and the third. I can understand why they would go, all right, we're gonna go from this location, we're gonna go over here. I'll be right back, guys. Give me a couple of minutes. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry for the delay. Had a family member come by. It was one of my brothers. We were talking for a brief moment. I was checking, seeing how he was doing and all that. What the hell? So yeah, all in all, guys, per what we talked about in this entire stream today, um, Andor has set a specific, I would say, a specific tone for Star Wars that many fans are not used to. Even hearing about some OG fans saying that they didn't like Andor, or that it shouldn't have taken so many episodes for it to get good or great. But many fans are just not used to, because a lot of the action and stuff like that, they're just used to that instant gratification, and they can probably maybe watch something like Andor and maybe have it playing in the background, stuff like that, while they're doing stuff around the house, because they can't, their attention span is just not that good or great, which is understandable. So I just believe that Andor has set a specific tone for Star Wars that can still be beneficial in the long run of the franchise, and I feel like it should still be pushed out so that people, who love stuff like this can enjoy it, because this is their comfort zone. But it won't fully take away from what the franchise has been as a whole, since 1977. Because like I said, I don't believe that Andor should be something that should fully take over what was already established, but it should just be something that they add to it that can still be beneficial for the franchise, in the long haul of things. And again, like I said, my hope is that we will get more Andor-like shows. But we, like, people are leaving comments on my videos, which I agree that if we can get Jedi and Sith like Andor writing, that will be something that could be really beneficial for Star Wars, because the way that these characters are written, the plots, the stories, the arcs, the way that they are written specifically, I feel like could be beneficial for a Jedi versus Sith story or trilogy movie or whatever. I definitely believe that this fits like a Grand Admiral Thrawn, TV series and or movie, definitely because of how the tone is paced, because that's what the books are. There's a lot of dialogue when it comes to the books, it's pertaining to Thrawn himself, and when the action does happen, it's great. So again, that's my hope that moving forward in this decade, from 2022 to 2030 or 2032, whichever, over the course of the next roughly 8 years and more, maybe 15 years, 16 years, 20 years, and hopefully that I'll still be alive to see all of this occur, that Andor will be just like the catalyst that gets stuff in motion to be able to get more of this writing out there, more of this heavy dialogue, hardly any action, because the story is just that great and the plot is just that great that when action occurs, it just makes everything that has occurred prior to the action coming up even much more greater and better for the viewer themselves, for the audience themselves. That's the hope. But again, I personally don't want Andor to be something that takes over the the whole entire diaspora of the Star Wars universe itself. I just want it to be something that gets pushed out there, and there are these other stories out there that will still captivate the audience, while we will still get really great written Jedi and Sith stories, Force stories, moving forward. Because the recent stuff that we've gained just wasn't what we were hoping for at the time for a lot of us Star Wars fans, because there are fans out there that love the sequels, and I support those fans, because that's what they that's what gives them hope every day, to continue to come back, to rewatch, to feel something, to experience something for themselves. I personally can't tell them not to like the sequels just because I didn't like them. It's not my place. That's for them, for them to experience, to sit and watch, and to say whether or not they liked it or not. And it's the same thing with Star Wars fans when it's pertaining to Andor. They sit down, they watch the 12 episodes or 6 episodes or whatever, 3 episodes or whatever, and if it doesn't captivate and capture them like it did with me, that's fine. They're allowed to feel how they feel about it, and just move on with life, go watch something else, and keep the peace. But I'm out of here, guys. I'm gonna go get ready to rest, because I got roughly about an hour and a half, 2 hours before I go to bed, because I gotta get up in the morning and go back to work, and hope that work is like, at least my shift today wasn't great. It was real busy because we had a call off, or call out as they would say, and I had to do extra work, and I didn't like it. But I'm out of here, guys. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening, noon, and night. Leave some comments, comment section below if you made it through this entire stream, or prior, or whichever. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing your comments below if you do leave comments. If not, it's okay. But like I said, I'm seeing everybody else's comments on my other videos. I will be responding to those roughly this week and forward, as we prepare for just the calming of the Star Wars franchise for now, until January, when the Bad Batch Season 2 drops. Now, of course, I will be covering that here on the channel for sure, because I definitely did love the crew. I enjoyed that Season 1. So, but the next live stream will probably be Wednesday or Thursday or something like that, maybe Friday, because I'm off those days. But it's because I'm having a procedure done. That's why I'm off. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully that procedure goes well. But yeah, guys, do the rest of the evening and the night. Stay safe, stay humble, and remember, the Force will be with you